Man, it's your big brother K-Rino. I want to talk to y'all about becoming numb to loss and becoming numb to tragedy, because the way the world is right now, it's so much stuff happening every day, man, that we look at the news and we can just gloss by things that are extremely tragic, extremely uh, tough to look at on a normal basis. But when you see it so much, when you see something so much, you reach a point where your mind becomes almost desensitized to it if you're not careful. And what you also got to be careful of is not allowing that kind of stuff to enter your mind and to enter your vision on a daily basis. You know, we can accidentally stumble across things that we see on the news, things that we see on our timelines and all that. But you have to make sure that you take some time for yourself to guard yourself against that kind of energy and that kind of information, because it can bring your mood down. And even when you reach a point where you become numb to it, which is it's a hard thing to talk about, because you although it's a negative thing to see tragedy, to see people get murdered and killed and all this different stuff, man, and babies being abused and domestic violence, police brutality, all the different things that go up and down the scale. While those things are tough to see, we still don't want to let ourselves reach a point where we almost normalize them, where we just are, well, that's just how it is. That's just another day in the hood. Just how it goes where we from or where we live or in this society. We gotta keep our we gotta maintain our sense of love for each other and our sense of concern, which will fuel us into doing work that will stop and prevent these types of incidents. Now, I know what you're thinking. Like, man, you ain't gonna stop that, man. It's gonna always be that. It's gonna always be this and violence and things of that nature. And you know, you might be right for a time during this when the way the world is set up now. The way the world is set up now, yeah, you probably right. But in anything that's going on that's negative, you want to minimize it as much as you can. It's like when you watching uh, a sporting event, and it might be a great score on the other team, and the coach might get interviewed, and they say, "Well, man, how you gonna stop? How you gonna stop this guy, man? How you gonna stop him?" And say, "Well, you know, we know we can't stop him. We just got to do our best to do what? Contain him. We just got to do our best to make it hard on him. We got to do our best to minimize his his success." And that's the mind frame that we got to have. You know, one step at a time to try to minimize these incidents as much as we can. And it's a job that no one person should be put in charge of. It's not fair to say that one person or one group should be solely responsible for stopping the violence. And it's going to take a collaborative effort from everybody who claims that they are concerned about it. You got too many people out here that are focused on the wrong things, that are focused on pointing fingers rather than doing work. And the people who point the fingers, who do a lot of the talking, are usually the ones who are not doing anything. Usually the ones who are just sitting around watching and waiting to see what somebody else is going to do. So we want to make sure that we step out of that category, or we're not in that category at all. But we also got to understand that even when we reach a point where people will say, "Well, man, I've become numb. Man, I don't even feel it no more, man. I can't. Yeah, I've been to so many funerals, man. I don't even cry no more." You know, we hear all these things, and a lot of us, you know, have reached those points where we felt that way. We got to understand that even when you get to that point, that trauma is still there. That trauma is still there. And that's actually a form of trauma when you reach that point in your mind. Um, we can subconsciously suffer things without knowing it. That's why it's subconscious. We can go through things without even realizing we're going through it, and we can need uh, help dealing with stuff that we don't even realize that we're dealing with. So be very mindful of that, man, as you move forward, and don't lose your spirit, don't lose your energy, don't lose your drive to continue to make society and make your neighborhoods better. Don't ever lose that drive. You know, you're going to get tired sometimes, you're going to get frustrated sometimes. It's going to happen. But you have to always look at and think about the people who have done this work and have been doing this work long before we were born. People who have been doing this work, if you've been involved in that kind of work for 5 years, 2 years, 10 years, think about the people who've been doing it 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. People who have long passed away that laid the foundation for you to do the kind of work, or have that thought process in you. Think about those people who got tired as well, and those who got frustrated, but they kept going, because the bigger picture is more significant than our individual feelings and our personal feelings about a thing. You know, we just got to figure out a way to recharge and jump back in the fight, and that's for all of us. You know, so I know how it gets sometimes, y'all, but it's still a lot of work out here for all of us to do. And you know, our babies are out here every day. They coming up in this world. They don't really they don't really look at the world. They don't really see and understand the world the way we see and understand it, because they're young. They live in their life. They want to have fun. They want to do the things that they do. They want to play with their friends, whatever it is that sparks their interest. And we are the ones that sit as the overseers, the guardians over them, that know the true realities of the world, and we try to shelter them from that as much as we can, and we try to protect them from that as much as we can, and still allow them to be children and go through that process of growing up. But the reality is, you know, living in certain areas of the city, in these cities that we live in, they're gonna be exposed to it. They're gonna see it. They're gonna know somebody. They're gonna be affected by it, because it happens all around them every day. So we got to be able to explain and talk to them about, well, this is why this happens, this is why that happens. There are these types of people in the world, and whatever, whatever, and break it down to them and give them an understanding, so that trauma won't be so devastating, or won't take as much of an effect as it might have if they don't get that understanding. And sadly enough, that's not just something that's only applied to young people. It's a lot of us at older age that need that kind of counseling as well. So, all right, man, it's your big brother K-Rino. Y'all leave y'all comments below on this topic. Tell me what you think, and subscribe to the channel. Keep your notifications on, so you'll know when I post a video, and I'll hit y'all with another one before the day is over with. All right, then. Peace.